What's up guys, it's Ian here, back today with another video, and I do appreciate a lot of the feedback that you guys gave me on that last video. I tried to reply to every comment. YouTube was having some kind of bug where it was displaying one more comment than the number of comments that were visible to me, so if I didn't reply to your comment, just, I don't know, please copy paste it into a fresh comment and then maybe I'll be able to see it, or maybe somebody commented and blocked me or made their profile private so I couldn't see their comment. Either way, it did seem like there was one comment there that I couldn't pull up or even see. So anyways, I replied to all the comments that I could see, and I do appreciate the comments. I did get some pushback on the last topic, and I tried to give my side of my perspective. I tried to reply to every single comment, tried to give a decent length answer. Nobody replied to my replies, but if you do reply to my replies, I'll try to reply to those replies, and if it seems worthwhile, I'll even make a follow-up video if it seems like there's a lot of people who want to talk about it. But anyways, I've been collecting some topics. Nobody requested any topics, but I still do appreciate the comments and feedback. Yeah, so I've collected sort of 3 different topics, but they're sort of tied together. The first video that I made when I had kind of come back to video making was related to AI and how I lost my job to AI. And you know, since then I've been applying to jobs. I've maybe applied to like 50 jobs, 100 jobs with different variations of resume, and I've gotten 1 or 2 video or phone interviews. Most employers don't reply, and those video or phone interviews led to no follow-up. So it's pretty hard to get a job out there, but I just want to preface the video saying that in case any of the unemployment people are like, oh, he's not looking for jobs. It's like, no, I've applied to many jobs. But what I will say is that attention is largely, with some caveats, the most valuable thing you can give to someone. Obviously, you can give somebody all your money or material possessions, right? And that, sure, maybe that's more valuable to somebody, but ultimately, when you're old, there's no way to get your time back. I've seen countless guys, maybe there's some women as well, but mostly old men who are in their 70s or 80s, and they've become billionaires, or at least multi-millionaires, very rich old men. And whenever asked, would you give up all your money, even all your contact books, all your knowledge of how you became rich, just to be 20 or 30 years old again? I think almost all of them have said yes, because yeah, once you're that age and the walls are closing down, there's no way to get your time back. And yeah, so really when people give you attention, you should value their attention, thank them for it. You might not think about it in the moment, but you know, later when you're by yourself at night and thinking about, wow, this person really gave me their undivided attention. Yeah, maybe they would have just screwed off and played some video games or wasted time scrolling with that time that they gave you. Maybe they weren't going to do anything else with it, but it's more just the notion that you won't get it back, and that the time itself, because of the number of permutations of how you could have spent that time, it is almost infinitely valuable. Now, as a video game addict and a social media scroller myself, and let me just veer off for a second and say those 1-minute videos really do add up, because I think the psychological trick about the 1-minute videos is that it actually keeps you glued to the screen. You can't just put on like a 10-minute video and be like, okay, I'm gonna put on this 10-minute video and go wash the dishes, or I'm gonna put on this 30-minute video, 1-hour video, I'm gonna go do the laundry and vacuum the house, right? You can't really multitask at all when you're watching a 30-second reel. You can't multitask through a 30-second reel or a 1-minute Instagram reel or YouTube short. You're kind of stuck there because you're like, oh, well, if I go and pick up another task, it's just gonna start looping on me and I'm gonna reach the end of it. And then you're like, you finish the end of that short video and then you're like, let me get to the next video, right? So yeah, scrolling through the short form content it's actually a lot more devastating than it might seem. I think the long form content, it really does allow you to multitask, as long as the multiple task is a bit of a mindless task, like I gave the examples of dishes, vacuuming, etc. I think if you're doing like 2 tasks that both require mental acuity and focus to really absorb the information, multitasking, it's a bit of a oxymoron. You're not actually doing either task sufficiently. You're actually handicapping both tasks, right? But if one task is kind of like menial, just physical, I don't have to think that much, I'm autopiloting it, you can listen to a podcast. Now, I will say that you're going to absorb the highest percentage of a podcast or audiobook while you're devoting your sole focus towards that one audiobook or podcast. Let's say you close your eyes, lie down in a room at night and listen to an audiobook. That's when you're really going to get the most out of an audiobook or informational content. But let's be real, most podcasts and informational videos, they aren't that deep. Anyways, let's return back to the topic. So there's all these old men, no way to get their time back, and they look in the rearview mirror, and maybe a lot of them are like, I lived the life I lived, I'm grateful for it, it's ending soon, nothing I can do. But they would still give up that money to be young again. I guess it's a bit of a catch-22, because you wouldn't want to give up the experiences that you had either, right? So anyways, I don't want to get too much into that, but the next topic that I wrote down that I didn't want to get too in-depth on, or I didn't get around to making a video on yet, I may have written this topic down a month or 2 ago even, right after or shortly after I first lost my job. I have been applying to at least a couple jobs every week, but I think being unemployed temporarily is one of the better things that could happen for me short term. The alternate would have been working a potentially miserable job the rest of my 30s, but now I can take some time to reflect and enjoy my life. Let's say if I die this year or in the coming months or even in the coming 2 or 3 years, it would be a bit psychologically devastating to know that I spent the last portion of my life just working a menial desk job that wasn't too meaningful. There was some significance to it, but to be fully transparent, I was just mostly there for the money. Some of my coworkers were nice, not all of them were, but yeah, I do really value the freedom. I can reflect and enjoy my life. Imagine working straight into your 60s or 70s. That isn't inherently better. I know, and let me also be clear, that job that I had, it didn't have a pension, there was no retirement, there wasn't even health benefits, there were really no benefits. So it wasn't like I lost a career, it was really like I lost a job. So let's be clear there, right? If it was the type of job that was like, oh, it's giving me health and dental, just work 20 years, you get a pension. 20 years, I'm not that old, I'm 55, retire with a pension. That's actually pretty good. I'd take that. Nowadays, a lot of people, they work into their 60s, 70s. They work till they die. Yeah, I would still take a job, and I will just, as more time goes by, I'll get closer and closer just to taking any job, even just, a grocery store job. It's not too bad. It's better than doing nothing, I guess. But having your time is pretty good. And a lot of jobs aren't inherently meaningful. And you have to deal with a lot of hatred and vitriol, because there are a lot of terrible individuals out there. I see the way that a lot of these people treat public service sector workers, and I always try to be really nice to the workers. I'm not like kissing their asses or anything, but I try to treat them with respect, ask them how they're doing, say thank you, all that stuff, even though I know that they're not going to spill their guts out telling me how they're doing, right? If they're like, yeah, my dog died and my dad has cancer. It's just, they're not going to, they're not really going to tell me how they're doing, but just showing them the courtesy. And if they really do want to talk, I'll give them a few minutes. Like I'm not, as you know, I'm not working. So I'd take the time to give them the time, as long as I'm not in a hurry to use the bathroom or anything. What I want to add there is, don't let people demoralize you, right? People will demoralize you for not having a job or not earning a ton of money. I was listening to the Jake Shields with Owen, forget his last name, but they were talking about their own lives, and obviously both of them are much wealthier than me, but they were discussing how their money balance, it's always kind of returned to this state where if they started to get too much money, something happened to them and then they lost a lot of the money and returned to a lower financial level. And their hypothesis was actually that if they became too wealthy, it might go to their heads and it might turn them into an asshole, right? For no more concise way of putting it. And I do worry about that too. Like if I won the lottery and I just had tens of millions of dollars, like maybe I wouldn't know how to act, right? Maybe at my current age and maturity level, maybe I too would become an asshole. I hope that I'd be worldly enough to maintain my composure and continue to treat everybody well. And that would be a true test. It's unlikely that I'll ever become that wealthy, but hey, if I do, we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's very interesting. But then what they also said is that they never fell below a certain wealth level either. So when they reached the upper bounds of wealth level, it's like a spiritual entity was like, hey, wait a minute, you're not ready yet. You don't have the, I guess, spiritual balance or composure, or this amount of worldly wealth and possessions, it's going to turn you into an asshole. So it's actually better for you to not let you reach that higher financial tier. But then also they said they never fell below a certain financial tier. Once they started to become really close to being broke or their savings were dwindling, then an opportunity came upon them and they had another opportunity to basically keep them having enough. So it's almost like there was some spiritual entity, it could just be coincidence, maybe as they fell down financially, they started to become more desperate about just taking any opportunity versus a really good job. But it's an interesting concept, at least, right? Maybe there is some equilibrium point, and maybe I need to accumulate more good karma before I'm able to reach a higher financial tier. And maybe my karmic balance is what's preventing me from reaching a higher tier. So don't let people demoralize you. The purpose of life is to be able to work hard in bursts and save a bit, then relax and enjoy your life. Kind of like an animal hunting or a squirrel saving for winter, or there's tons of examples in nature, but just think about it for a second. Maybe the point is to work hard for a period of time. I mean, think about it like the most successful people. I guess the most successful people, they're continuously working, they're really stressed, their physique falls apart. Think about somebody like Elon Musk. But I mean, I guess Jeff Bezos, he's in pretty good shape, right? So think about professional athlete, they train, they rest, they enjoy their life, they take some time off. Maybe it's a bit different, and maybe it's irrelevant to mention this, but I think there's something to be gleaned from that, even if we're not going to fit into that paradigm of lifestyle exactly. I think there is something to be gleaned from the rest and enjoy your life, save up a bit. I think now we're too much in the mentality of I'm going to start working when I'm 20, work till I'm 75, and then suffer a few years and die. And people will shame you for doing anything outside of that paradigm. And maybe it's not quite as extreme as that. Most people won't end up working 55 years. Most people, maybe they'll work like 30 years. But nowadays, most jobs don't have a pension or a retirement package. I've applied for many jobs that potentially would have had a pension or retirement package, and I didn't even make it to the phone interview stage. All the phone and video interview stage interview processes that I've applied for and gotten, they were all in the private sector, none of which really had retirement packages. Some of them had health benefits, which, it's better to have a decent paying job with health benefits. But if there's no retirement package, then it's kind of like, how much money is this really, right? It's enough for now, but you're literally just going to have to save up money until you retire. And I guess if you spend all your money before you die, then I guess you're just gonna die at that point because you'll run out of money, assuming you haven't set up some web of a family network, right? But anyways, that was most of the topics for today's video that I just covered there. Yeah, I made my list. I covered all the topics. Don't let people demoralize you. You know, people are demoralizing you. They'll shame you. I'm not saying that those people are necessarily hateful or demonic for shaming you or and they may not even be trying to demoralize you. They might be trying to help you and steer you in the right direction based on their life framework. So these people might just be trying to help you. I wouldn't read into it too far. I don't think that, you know, people are trying to cause you psychological anguish. Maybe the universe is causing you psychological anguish if you're not living up to your full potential. But I think if you're comfortable, let's say you have enough savings, or you're at an equilibrium point in your life, maybe there is a reasonable case to be made to just enjoy your life for a period of time. Anyways, I'm sort of rambling here. I went through my entire list that I intended to cover for today. Once again, thank you for all your comments on the last video. I really appreciate them. I did try to reply to all of them. Please drop a comment down below. Let me know if you'd like me to expand on any of these topics in a future video, or make any other videos on other future topics related to these or completely unrelated. I can make a video about other things as well. And I do have some other video topics on my docket, so I'll make some more videos regardless of if I get comments or not. But the comments will definitely help more videos be made sooner. Once again, thank you for watching and have a good day.